Welcome in this special Sunday edition of On Texas Football. We're talking recruiting, some updates, CJ on the road, some updates and official visit news we broke it on Texas Football this morning. CJ was out at the McKinney North Invitational track meet on Friday. He caught up with Jalen Lott. We'll be talking Jalen Lott and top Texas safety target Donovan Webb, a teammate of Jalen Lott at Frisco Panther Creek. We're going to get into that. Much more. How many out-of-state official visitors versus in-state official visitors? The numbers we're going to talk about here on this show today. Before I do that, I'm going to take a second for the always great sponsor of our recruiting shows. That is Mark Saunders. When it comes to protecting all your stuff, wouldn't it be great to have one singular place that protects all of it? I got your guys. It's Texas All-State agent Mark Saunders, who serves the Austin and Round Rock area and the entire state of Texas. He's the only insurance agent you'll need. He's also a UT alum. Everything from your home, car, and boat to your motorcycle, RV, and ATV. Call Texas alum Mark Saunders' office today at 512-218-8571. Again, that's Texas alum Mark Saunders, Texas All-State agent, Austin, Round Rock area, the entire state of Texas, 512-218-8571. All right, CJ, well, let's get right to it. Jalen Lott is one of the big names that Texas fans are following this cycle. Obviously, Father James Lott, and played football at Texas, was a national champion in track, NFL draft pick, and his mother played for Jody Conrad in basketball at Texas. So one of the true legacy recruits, but that doesn't mean it's over. You still have to go earn these recruitments, and through the coaching change, there's some new relationships that have to be built. You spoke with Jalen for a while on Friday. What did you pick up from Mr. Jalen Lott?
Yeah, you'll get to hear from Jalen at the end of this video, so stick around. But it was a good conversation with Jalen. Of course, there was a focus on upcoming trips, getting back down to Austin, the coaching turnover in Austin as well. He touches on all of that. But the big takeaways for me, look, that's going to be a busy spring break for him. He just this weekend on Saturday was up in Oregon, seeing the Ducks once again. He's taking a trip right over from Oregon to Ohio State, and then making a trip down to Georgia this spring break as well. So that's a busy weekend, seeing some big-time contenders on the national landscape when it comes to college football as well. That's his first trip out to Georgia, first trip out to Ohio State. Gerry, what's interesting is where he's being recruited right now for Texas. It's been at the cornerback position. Georgia recruits him as a cornerback as well. However, Oregon, Ohio State, two teams that are recruiting him at the wide receiver spot. LSU recruiting him at wide receiver. Texas A&M kind of lingering around as well. But that's a real conversation that's going to be had at some point in his recruitment. Is he truly a wide receiver? Is he a guy that can make a lot of money playing cornerback? We'll wait and see. Right now, Jalen told me that it doesn't matter. Wherever I go, wherever I can be an impact guy on the field, that's where I want to feel like I'm welcomed, I'm wanted. So we'll see. But Texas, with Mark Orfe, with Dwayne Aquina, there is a connection there. Dwayne Aquina actually has known Lott and his family for quite some time, even before his time at Arizona. Lott was a junior Olympian, made the track, trip all the way out to the West Coast, stopped at Stanford with his older sister, who was also going through a recruitment of her own, and met Dwayne Aquina. They stayed in communication all the way from then. So there's a connection there. They've been recruited by Aquina for quite some time. And of course, Orfe has been in instant communication with Lott and his family. Sarkisian also on the phone with Lott and his family as of Friday morning.
It's a couple of great layers of this recruitment. One, Texas is recruiting him as a corner/athlete. Very smart if the competition recruit him as a wide receiver/athlete, because if you're recruiting him at the same position, you're already at a disadvantage because of the legacy, family legacy at the University of Texas. I think that's kind of smart. You saw Oregon recruit Michael Terry as a running back, told him running back in the last cycle. You have to break that. It can't just be the same as the pitches to school close to home in a lot of these instances. And then the second layer of that is I really think it's the West Coast teams in Texas, because his sister runs track at USC. There's the biggest competition that Texas right now, with the caveat that see if Ohio State or Georgia, which one of those two really finds their reign in maybe that top four at the end of the day. But Jalen Lott will be officially visiting on June 13th. Now, they have a safety at Panther Creek who I just think is a tremendous football player and will end up a top 100 prospect in the country as well, and that's Donovan Webb.
Yeah.
225, 230 tackles the last 2 seasons combined from a safety position. That's unheard of in high school football. Obviously, Donovan Webb was not at the track meet, but CJ, I think you picked up a few nuggets on his recruitment as well.
Yeah, I was actually talking to a coach at the track meet from I wouldn't say a rival, but a DFW area school, saying, look, that might be one of the best safety prospects in the entire state, if not for certainly in the DFW region. So big nugget there. But on top of that, Webb will be making the trip with Lott down to the Texas Relays for a visit to Austin. That visit will be coming up March 27th, 28th, whenever they participate next week at the Texas Relays, obviously down in Austin. But that's a great sign for the Longhorns to kind of sneak in an extra unofficial. Yeah. Of course, Webb has 9 official visits locked in, Gerry. Not quite one with the Longhorns at the moment.
Yeah, and Texas, again, has gone through those coaching changes with Blake Gideon, who was recruiting Donovan Webb, obviously taking the Georgia Tech D coordinator job. Dwayne Akina had been by the school in January, was probably recruiting more of Jalen Lott, but really liked Donovan Webb. But I'll tell this for Texas fans. Texas will be going after Dwayne Akina will be going after Donovan Webb as hard as anybody. Now that these coaching changes have been made, staff's getting their feet on the ground. I mean, there were some coaches moving into Austin this weekend because after they accepted the job, they got to Austin. They kind of just getting their feet underneath them, getting ready for spring football, setting their recruiting boards. And some of those moves to Austin were actually happening this weekend for some of those new staff members. So Frisco Panther Greek, 2 of the top DBs in America, and Texas is going to be all in on both of those guys. No need to worry, Texas fans. And we'll see if Texas can secure an official visit from Donovan Webb, the do-everything playmaker safety that is a friend and teammate of Jalen Lott. All right, CJ, another interesting thing we're going to hit on today is there's 41 official visitors right now. Now, that counts Naeem Burrows, who committed to Clemson, and Clemson has always had the no-visit policy. We'll see. So we'll see if he makes that, keeps making visits. Then there's Jamie Winfield, who committed to USC this weekend. We know Texas is going to stay on him, and he'll be back on campus at some point. We don't know when that is. They both have June official visits. So right now that number is 41. The interesting thing, CJ, is 25 are out of state and 16 are in state. Now, I think that number is going to come closer together at some point when that official visit number gets to 48-50. But this is easily the most out-of-state official visitors Texas has ever had set at this point and ever. I mean, it's a big number.
Yeah, it is. And it's really interesting looking at where these guys are coming from. And you got 7 from California. You got 5 from Florida, including Kini Pepe, who, look, whether or not that's officially set or not, Gerry, that's a talented guy that Texas has continued to recruit. And the big conversation there is Texas is going all in on the places that we've seen them continue to recruit heavily. That's Georgia, that's Alabama. And then there are some new places, right? Hawaii is a place Texas has had some connections to in recent years. New Jersey's kind of been popping up as well. But real quick, Gerry, I think what's interesting is of these out-of-state official visitors have yet to see a North Carolina kid.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be one of those areas that Texas continues to recruit very heavily, especially in the spring. And when Texas has these spring unofficials coming in, that's when I think you start to see some of these North Carolina guys start adding to the tally, and this out-of-state list just continues to grow.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see on the D lineman if Texas makes, they went through and offered guys there, but are they going to get those guys on campus in the spring, and then it becomes an official visit? To your point, on D-line recruiting, I put out on ontexasfootball.com this morning, Vodney Cleveland is now scheduled to come in June 13th through 15th out of Alabama, Birmingham Parker. So that's 2 prospects from Alabama, along with Xavier Crowell, the running back, one of the best in the country, that reclassed from 27 to 26. They're both scheduled to officially visit in June. The interesting thing, CJ, is Texas now has D linemen scheduled to officially visit from Louisiana, Dylan Berryman, Alabama, Vodney Cleveland, Georgia, Tico Crittenden right now. Florida, guys, we think that Kendall Gerville from the Fort Myers area will end up scheduling an official visit. You're starting to see all these states. Texas is battling in the deep south along I-10 and then south into Florida for some of the top D linemen in the country. These are real recruiting battles, and you can go to ontexasfootball.com. We have the list of 41 official visitors, but these are real battle royales coming up for Texas in June. I mean, you look at the list of guys, Xavier Crowell, the running back, CJ, his visit list is Georgia, Texas, Auburn, and Alabama.
It's pretty good.
These are some real recruiting battles coming up in June.
Yeah, 100%. And look, you could add Jalen Lott to that as well, who only has 3 official set at the moment, but going to Georgia, going to Ohio State, obviously at Oregon previously, big-time national battles. Gerry, I wanted to talk a little offensive line and get your thoughts on this as well, because look, Texas has a lot of official visits coming up, and we talk about the out-of-state approach to the class holistically, but that offensive line has a lot of in-state guys listed at the moment, right? Felix Ojo, Toa Katoa. You look at Zayden Crimpin, who's all coming in on June 13th. And look, that doesn't include your commit Max Wright and John Turntine on June 20th. But let me get your thoughts on Texas taking care of its backyard, the in-state guys, and then kind of broadening out and going, twice to California for a pair of guys, Florida as well. Not quite maybe that South approach as we've seen on the defensive side. What do you make of Texas and where they're headed, on the offensive line in the 26th cycle? It's
an interesting point and topic of discussion because the in-state group is tremendous, but also nationally it's tremendous. Like that rarely happens for me that both you have a great crop at a position in-state and then nationally it's also great. Mm-hmm. So that's why you've seen 9-10 official visitors on the offensive line. I think that number when Kenye Pepe officially sets his official visit to Texas in June, that number is going to go up one more. But that doesn't. Brett Colajay will be on campus as a unofficial visitor, the guard from IMG, originally from Denver, later this month or in April. So could that number even increase another one? But what's interesting is there's 2 really high-level guards in state, Toa Katoa and Nicholas Robertson. And Texas arguably leads for both of those guys, or is right there in 1-2 for both of those guys and has been for months. Max Wright is that swing guy, tackle guard type of guy. Then you have 2 tremendous offensive tackle prospects. And I think John Turntine's an easy 5-star prospect in this class from North Crowley. And then you have Felix Ojo from Mansfield, Lake Ridge. So the question always gets to, can you get both of those guys in a class? Right. Last year, Lamont Rogers and Michael Fasusi, both DFW guys, weren't going to the same school. So the reality is if you get one of those guys, you're happy if you're Texas. Then you have this great group of out-of-state guys too. Samuel Roseborough from Clearwater, whose mom lives in Austin. He was on campus 2 days last week during spring break visiting his mom. I think Texas is in a pretty good spot there. Then you look out west, Cody Green, the Oregon commit, who is maybe as good as anybody as a right tackle in this class. So it's a loaded offensive line class. California at modern day with Cody Green, obviously. Roseborough, which there's a connection there to the Austin area with his mom living in Austin. She got transferred for work a few months ago, but Sam Rosenberg is planning to stay his senior season at Clearwater High with his friends as of right now. So it's an amazing group on the offensive line. Malachi Lee, who you mentioned out of Hawaii, who Johnny Nansen went to see. So it's an amazing group on that D-line. And then, CJ, our last thing we're going to mention is wideout. Wide receiver is interesting because you have Jabari Mack, who you went to see at Destrehan, Louisiana. And that could come down to a Texas LSU, maybe one other in the battle. But I could see that being a Texas LSU battle at the end of the day. Obviously, you have Aaron Gregory, the A&M commit in Georgia. You have Naeem Burrows, the Clemson commit in Jacksonville, Florida. And that list kind of goes on and on. Caden Dixon-Wyatt in modern day. Then you have Caden Finley, who Texas wants as bad as any of these guys, the son of Jermichael Finley at Aledo, and you have the commit Chris Stewart. So you saw Jabari Mack recently. He'll probably be back for his spring game if the timing works out. So that looks like it could be a Texas LSU at the end of the day with the others trying to stay in the fight.
Yeah, I actually had this conversation recently with a parent of a recruit, Gerry, just talking about wide receiver at Texas. And it might feel a bit blurry in terms of where they're going. Obviously, Tristan Keys not including the Longhorns in his top 10. You talk about Naeem Burrows committing to Clemson as well. Those are 2 big dogs off the board for now, right? Texas will, of course, continue to recruit. But the point being, we also had this conversation a year ago, and it wasn't until Jamie French got to campus. It wasn't until, later on, Texas said green light is open for Dalen McCutcheon to join the class. Obviously, Khalid Clockett was a guy that they were heavily recruiting as well. One thing that's going to be really interesting in this cycle for Texas at the wide receiver spot is opposing schools are going to be using they have 3 5-stars as freshmen right now, and a really talented Dalen McCutcheon as in that room at the moment. So having to overcome that is going to be a hurdle that, look, you have to do. Ohio State does it every year, and they've done a pretty darn good job of that. But where does this room start to find a clearer picture? I think we'll see after these spring unofficials. The other point I wanted to make is, look, I know it's been a while since there's been some momentum on the trail as well. You look back a year ago, you had, 6, 7 commitments ranging from April to May. Then, of course, we've seen what the staff does in June. So these spring unofficials, they kind of set the tone. They start getting the ball moving a little bit more towards those commitments. And, of course, some of these happier videos where we're popping the confetti and celebrating commitments. But right now, Texas getting these guys on campus for spring visits, seeing, whatever the practices might be, that's going to be big. And wide receiver certainly a position of note to watch.
Sark probably snickers when he tests the patience of Texas fans in recruiting in the spring and summer because they all want commitments.
Yep.
Sark's over here like, I'm not in any rush, man. We're going to make sure these are the right guys for our program. That's a great place to be if you're Steve Sarkisian. All right, we're now going to turn our attention to Jalen Lott once again. CJ caught up with Jalen Lott at the McKinney North Invitational Track Meet. Hope you guys enjoy that. For CJ Vogel, I'm Gerry Hamilton. This has been a special Sunday edition of the Recruiting Breakdown here on Texas Football.
Welcome. All right, down here with Panther Creek 5-star athlete Jalen Lott out of the track meet today. You're already performing. How'd it go?
It went pretty good. I just high jumped just now. I still got long jump to go. Jumped about 6'6" in the high jump. Got second place. Ready to get better for the next meet.
Of course, busy track meet ahead. You were at the state UIL meet last year. That's the plan again this year?
Yes, sir, of course. Just get back there and show them what I got.
Of course. Busy recruiting season coming up for you as well. Right after this, you'll be headed to Oregon,
yes,
and then
sir.
Ohio State and Georgia. How about that for a spring break?
It's definitely a lot, and I can't wait to get out there and see those campuses. Obviously, Oregon I've been to, but Ohio State and Georgia will be new to me.
What are you most looking forward to with these 3 trips coming up?
Definitely, just see how the coaches interact with the players, obviously, because these are going to be spring practices, just seeing, how everything's at and where like they're at with me, obviously,
Right.
Stuff like that, recruiting-wise.
Now, of course, going back down to Texas, they've made some changes in their secondary, hired Coach Mark Orfe, hired Coach Akina. What were your kind of initial reactions to Coach Joseph going to the NFL, but also Texas hiring Coach Orfe?
Definitely, it was like a shock because, me and Coach Joseph had that really good relationship like that. But obviously, it's time to, make new relationships with Coach Orfe. And obviously, he has a history of putting players in the league, and that's what I like to see.
What have you learned most about him so far?
He's definitely a very competitive guy. And obviously, like I said, it's just proof is in the pudding, just putting people in the league and stuff like that.
And you mentioned Coach Akina as well. He recruited you a little bit at Arizona.
Yes, sir.
What'd you think of him and kind of the knowledge that he comes with?
It definitely, obviously, he's been doing it for a very long time. Close two-way players, great corners and stuff like that. And, just him. It definitely, pulls me towards him a lot more.
Yeah, and I know you won't be down there this weekend, but you got the official visit set up.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything about Texas that maybe you haven't seen yet or that you're still waiting to learn about?
I'd probably say the biggest thing is, seeing how Orfe and Akina interact with the other players is probably the biggest thing for sure.
Okay, and on top of that, I know you got 3 visits this week. LSU's also in it for you. Texas 2, A&M's kind of lingering around. Is there anybody else that you're monitoring? I know you said there was a couple trips that you wanted to get out and go see.
Yeah, for sure. I really want to get out to Miami and maybe set up an OV there for sure.
Okay.
And then Ohio State as well. And then I also really like Colorado, with Travis Hunter and all that both ways. So, they're the only one that's done it, and that really intrigues me.
You mentioned going both ways. I know you're getting recruited at wide receiver and corner for Texas. It's a cornerback, but there are plenty of others that are recruiting you as a wide receiver. Does that matter to you right now, or is it just, hey, let's get on the field and let's work?
It's definitely let's get on the field and let's work. Obviously, I'm going to play both ways because, right now, but when I eventually get to where I want to get, wherever I can help out the team the most is where I'll play for sure.
And then what do you think of a timeline? Are you close to narrowing things down, or is it, let's wait until we get to some official visits first?
I'm definitely narrowing things down. I feel like after this spring trip I take, I'll definitely have a lot of things narrowed down as, where I'm going to end up going and stuff like that. And I'll probably have a decision by summer.
Good deal. Now, on top of these 3 visits, are there any spring practices you want to go see?
Definitely I want to get out to Colorado spring practice and in Miami for sure. And obviously the schools that I'm going to this week are obviously at the top.
And then a commitment timeline, are you thinking after official visits, before the season, kind of in that range?
Yes, sir. Probably after official visits when I'll definitely be committed.
Good deal.
Yes, sir.
That'll do it. Jalen Lott, thank you very much.
Thank you.